When Jonathon was in high school, he was voted most likely to succeed. He was a hardworking student who always followed the rules. Jonathon consistently went above and beyond, was always the teacher's favorite, and managed to earn some of the highest marks in his grade 12 class. Although he wasn't a popular kid, that didn't bother him that much. The popular boys usually peaked in high school. His peak would be far better. 20 years later, Jonathon was still waiting for that peak. Sure, he had a good job. Sure, he had the wife and the kids, the nice house, the fancy car, but something was missing. The bottom line was he just didn't feel respected, appreciated, fulfilled. His coworkers rarely listened or paid attention to him. His wife was bossy and rarely willing to be intimate, and his kids were spoiled and ungrateful. This was not the successful future he had imagined. By the time Jonathon hit 39, frustration and desperation had set in. It was around this time that Jonathon stumbled across a video by Robert Greene. On the thumbnail, it simply said, "Recreate yourself." It only took 5 minutes, and Jonathon knew with his entire being that it was time for a full makeover. It was time to reinvent himself. It was time to hit reset. He began by sitting down and making a list of goals and dreams, a list of things that he wanted his life to look like. He also wrote down the kind of person he wanted to be, someone strong and masculine, determined, ambitious and driven, someone people listened to, respected and admired. He then wrote down all the ways he could improve himself, both short-term and long-term. Finally, he wrote down his expectations for himself and for those around him. He would start going to the gym. He would put on some muscle and lose some weight. He would spend more time learning and less time watching TV. He would start dressing better, get a better haircut, grow some facial hair, get some cosmetic surgery. He would even start eating better, adding vitamins and supplements, protein powder and creatine. He would start taking pride in himself, his body, and his overall appearance. His family, friends, and coworkers noticed the change. He was quieter, more serious, and more resolute. He seemed to stand a little straighter, looked a little stronger, dressed a little better, walked a little taller. He became more stoic, firm, like a strong, unmovable rock. He no longer compromised or gave in. His positions were always unshakable. And when he spoke with certainty and confidence, with absolute conviction. Not long after, Jonathon found himself single. Living with a bossy wife who no longer respected or desired him was not part of his plan. Now, from a distance, you could argue that Jonathon's life didn't improve that much. He went from a house to a condo, from a wife to a girlfriend, and his position at work was more or less the same, for now. But for Jonathon, the difference was incredible. Jonathon now felt strong and powerful in his own skin. He knew what he believed, he knew what he wanted, and he knew absolutely what he expected from himself and others. He lived his life deliberately, with intent and conviction, rather than just floating from one day to the next. Although he didn't talk as much, when he said something he meant it, and he would never buckle or back down. He now truly felt like the captain of his own ship. Recreating or reinventing yourself doesn't always have to mean you start over or start from scratch. It simply means you need to decide who you really want to be and make a concrete plan. Always remember, those who fail to plan to fail. As for Jonathon, this was just the beginning.